keep up the fight for the Oval Office. Republican electors in several states cast conditional ballots in favor of the president. And in a sharply worded speech, Joe Biden went on the attack last night, criticizing President Trump by name, describing his actions as an abuse of power and citing what he characterized as intimidation tactics used by Trump and his supporters. Despite the Electoral College vote, many Republicans have yet to signal their support for Biden. And an encouraging message from Dr. Anthony Fauci saying that a surprising number of Americans will receive their first injection of the COVID-19 vaccine as early as late spring. The massive distribution effort has just gotten underway, with frontline healthcare workers excitedly touting the arrival of the vaccine.
It's Tuesday, and welcome to it, everybody, the Chris Salcedo Show. Right out of the gate, I want to make sure you guys are here by the end of the week. We've got some announcements about the show coming up. It's very important. All the folks who may be in and out, depending on what your schedules are. Maybe you guys are going on vacation a little early. Going to be out fishing some days this week. I just don't want you guys to miss it. Friday morning, make sure you, of all times, are here to listen to that show. Let's get to the top stories, and we'll get started today. You guys know the Electoral College met yesterday, and it's widely assumed that individuals who went to the Electoral College, the electors, voted for Beijing Biden to be the next president of the United States. You know, something happened rather fun, not funny, but it was actually kind of weird up in Michigan. Most states, just in case these court cases pan out for the president, they met to offer an alternate slate of electors. And that would be the Republicans voting for the president of the United States as Donald J. Trump. However, Michigan got its police force to prevent Republicans from voting. So no alternate slate was offered in the state of Michigan. It shows you maybe a bit of a preview of the totalitarianism that may be coming writ large to the country if we are saddled with Barack Obama's third term. Okay, so let's get up to those top stories now. Bumbling Biden takes a victory lap, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday. And we'll play you some of that. Really only the stuff you need to know. Most of it was written for him. Most of it was BS. Meantime, Bill de Blasio, again, perhaps a preview of what America will be like under Democrat socialist governance, signaling a shutdown for New York. You folks are in for a rough ride there in New York. And then back to Biden, he's promising to deliver on those pushes for defunding the police. Now, they're calling it something different, but it is defunding the police. For those of you who weren't with us on the PM show yesterday in the afternoon, we had addressed Saturday Night Live taking a shot at Newsmax. And for those of you on KSEV, just imagine some sports guys sitting around talking about a fictional network that we at Newsmax are going to launch. Watch and listen. This is what it went down over on Saturday Night Live this weekend.
Millions of real Americans are switching from Fox News to Newsmax because Newsmax tells them the truth, that Donald Trump could still win this election. And because of our recent success, we're launching SportsMax. SportsMax is the network for real Jets fans, giving you the truth about America's favorite football team.
Now, a lot of mainstream sports networks like ESPN are saying that the Jets have not won a single game this year, that they're 0-12.
Which is very interesting because the truth is the Jets have already won 11 games this season.
Right. The SNL, I don't think there's anybody in this audience who actually watches these cats anymore. I haven't watched them for over a decade. So anyway, they're comparing a football game to an election. And I suggested yesterday, and I'll reiterate this on the morning show, that if Saturday Night Live wanted to reflect a real competitor for ESPN, that something Newsmax would put on, they might want to get their analogy straight. Because, you know, when you watch a football game, we've got instant replay. We can tell when stuff has been taken away that shouldn't have been taken away, when the cheat was on. Everybody remembers the 2014 Dallas Cowboys up against the Green Bay Packers. The catch that should have been ruled a catch, but wasn't. 3 years later, the NFL said, oh, yeah, it was a catch. Damage already done. And that seems to be what the guys over at SNL are advocating. We know that Biden cheated, they say. But let's just let him get in there. And then if we find out 3 years later after he's already, wreaked, because that more closely resembled SNL's ratings, over the last couple of decades. It's just not, socialism isn't funny. And that's all they are, is a bunch of socialist fanboys over at Saturday Night Live. Meantime, Bill de Blasio, folks, you guys in New York City, I just want you all to be prepared. This is not going to be pretty. They're already talking about shutting you down again. Now, the exceptions are Black Lives Matter and Antifa. If you want to get out there and burn and loot and steal and beat people up without your masks, it's okay. But for the rest of you, you're just going to have to watch your businesses being shut down.
There's the potential of having to do a full pause, a full shutdown in the coming weeks, because we can't let this kind of momentum go. I mean, think about it for a moment. This city was the epicenter. We fought back. We became one of the safest places in the country. We opened our schools when most major cities didn't. We've kept our schools safe. But now we're seeing the kind of level of infection with the coronavirus we haven't seen since May. And we have got to stop that momentum, or else our hospital system will be threatened.
Yep, that's right. And you folks can't be trusted out there to mask up or use precautions, maintain your social distancing. Bill de Blasio just going to have to shut you all down. Beijing Biden got in front of the press yesterday and decided he'd do a bit of a victory lap out there. Here's the speech. I'm not sure that we carried it live, but this is really all you need to know about the speech. Have a listen.
Today, a member of the Electoral College, representing the certified winner, cast their votes for president and vice president of the United States in an act just as old as our nation itself.
Well, maybe not as old as you, but maybe as old as the nation itself.
And once again, in America, the rule of law, our Constitution, and the will of the people prevailed. More Americans voted this year than have ever voted in the history of the United States of America. The United States of America. In the history of America, the Vice President-elect Harris and I, excuse me.
Really all you need to know was a lot of BS. There's a lot of BS in that whole thing. Speaking of BS, wouldn't you have all liked to have known that Hunter Biden was under investigation? Under 2 investigations leading into the election? Wouldn't you all like to have known that Joe Biden's brother was under a federal investigation? Well, you could have known had the biased press been doing its job. However, the press wasn't. As a matter of fact, the press was busy lying to you leading up to the election. There was a Media Research Center poll that asked a bunch of Democrats who voted for socialist Democrats, if you had known about these scandals, if you had known that Beijing Biden was credibly accused of rape, how many of you would change your votes? Well, many of them, 17% of Democrats said they would change their votes if they knew about Joe Biden's accusations of rape, if they knew about Hunter Biden's multiple investigations now, or if they'd known about Joe Biden's brother being under investigation, if they had known about Bobulinski, if they had known about the laptop. But this is what the basket of biased press was busy shoveling out before the election, full year before the election.
Just want to deal in fact, because there is so much speculation out there, and there is zero evidence that Hunter Biden or Joe Biden did anything wrong here.
We should note, again, and you and I have said this in the air many times, there is no evidence that Joe Biden was
no evidence. No.
Of course, want to note that there is no evidence that Joe Biden or Hunter Biden has done anything wrong.
Right.
I just want to reiterate.
And let's be clear for the viewers.
There is no evidence Biden did anything wrong.
I'll note again, because it's important.
There is no, I repeat, no.
There is no evidence that either Biden did anything illegal.
There's been no evidence. There was no evidence.
There's no evidence. There is no evidence.
There is not an iota of evidence.
No evidence Biden did anything wrong.
There's really
no evidence
that Joe Biden
did anything wrong.
Nobody's ever accused that, I mean, there's no
evidence whatsoever that Joe Biden did anything wrong.
Got that?
Joe Biden did nothing wrong.
Yeah, Joe Biden says he cites all of these people who were lying to America. Well, they all looked into me and they said I was doing nothing wrong. Joe Biden nor his family has endured one government investigation. You know how many Donald Trump had to endure falsely predicated government investigations? Four. And if you count the falsely predicated impeachment, five. Came out squeaky clean each time. But where is it written the Democrats don't get investigated by our government? I'd like to know. A.G. Barr resigned yesterday. Maybe he was trying to change that mentality in what we would call the deep state. You know, you can prosecute Democrats when they break the law. But once real journalism happened, folks, once the New York Post and some people started reporting actual news, that's when these propaganda artists at MSNBS and CNN, they sprang into action. Watch this.
Biden secret emails.
A really fishy story.
The Post claimed that the emails were found on a laptop computer that was brought to a repair shop in Delaware in the spring of 2019.
The FBI is now investigating whether those alleged Hunter Biden emails are actually connected to a larger foreign intelligence operation.
They may be related to a foreign intelligence operation.
Foreign intelligence operation.
Foreign intelligence operation.
For all we know, these emails are made up.
The information found on the laptop may be part of a Russian disinformation campaign.
Part of a Russian disinformation effort.
Described by many intelligence experts as having hallmarks. All the hallmarks of a Russian disinformation.
Russian disinformation
campaign.
This is a classic example of the right-wing media machine.
Don't drag the intelligence community into this. Hunter Biden's laptop is not part of some Russian disinformation campaign. The intelligence community doesn't believe that because there's no intelligence that supports that.
Did you guys get that? According to the basket of biased press, if you're going to point out actual attacks on the United States of America from communist China compromising our elected officials, if you're going to do that, they call that Russian disinformation. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBS, they were all out there protecting the most inhuman regime in modern history, China. They didn't want us to know about China, and they didn't want us to know about the Democrat socialist ties to China. If we had, we never would have voted for them. You remember China, folks? The communist country that unleashed a pandemic on the world. Your calls come up next. Chris Salcedo's show, Newsmax TV, and the Voice of Texas.